Right, welcome to episode 12 of Transatlantic Brews TV. I'm Mark, and I'm here with Ryan Ponto. How you doing, Ponto?
Good, how you doing, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Not too bad. I might as well play into the whole mate thing since he was so keen on that before the episode started. Yeah, just get proper cockney on your...
Even though we had a very young gentleman, shall we say, chime in just before the show started, and he was very, very up on using the term mate with Mark. Mark's from England, of course. It was quite funny, and when he left, I wasn't sure if he called us dads or lads. Like I couldn't really make it out. And I'm hoping he said lads. Yeah. I'm not that old. I mean, Christ.
I'm not that old either. I hope. Well, you know.
That's all relative.
Ponto, your audio is a little bit distant. Is your mic? You get your mic a bit closer.
Let's see. How's that?
He said dads, apparently, and don't be mean to him, please, apparently.
Who said we're being mean?
So, no, we're not being mean, but a slightly tongue-in-cheek humour going on there about the whole mates thing, but there you go. Anyway, what have you got beer-wise this week, Ponto?
Beer-wise, we got the Winter Beeracle from Dead Frog. It's a winter ale, of course. Okay. And it's a new recipe for this year they've made. So yeah, I'm a bit excited to try it and see what modifications they've done.
Cool. Yeah, looks good. Was it a barley wine base with extra spices and flavors? Is that the deal? Or
it's supposed to be like a mahogany ale, but from the description of it, I'm assuming it's going to have some sort of close relationship to a barley wine with the complexity of all the different spices and stuff like that going into it.
Sounds good. Yeah, and in giving the barley wine theme, I have this year's vintage of Fuller's Vintage Ale. So it's the 2015 edition. They've been doing this now for 19 years. This is the 19th edition. And this year, in particular, we got a seat opening up there. So this is the 19th year they've done it, but it's the 50th anniversary of the British Maris Otter malt variety. So they've decided to do an all British ingredients edition of this. So the recipe changes ever so slightly each year. It's a barley wine, and I've got two of them with me. And the reason I've got two is that I'm going to drink one fresh now, and then I'm going to cellar one and see how a few years of aging bears on its personality and its flavour. So,
which we have done in the past.
It has
3-year tasting.
It has. It's worked very well in the past when we did that. I don't know whether you call it a vertical tasting because they're all slightly different each year. But I don't know whether you call it horizontal tasting either because, they're not different beers, but they're of the same variety. So, anyway.
Yeah, let's call it a diagonal tasting. Somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between, yeah. It's the same beer. They do it each year, but the ingredients are different each year. But they tend to have a base general personality about them, but they vary slightly in terms of the malt varieties and the hop varieties that they use each year. So, I always find personally they're a little bit underwhelming when you drink them fresh. But as you will attest to, after around about 3 years, that they start to get very, very good. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to try and keep hold of this for about 3 years and crack in and see what it's like further down the line.
Yeah, if I recall, it was a bit more brandy-like. I think we described it last time we did it. As well.
I did find. I mean, obviously, all of that. The first thing to go is kind of the hot business, isn't it? But then the alcohol quality tends to change to a point where it does become a bit more brandy-like, or at least the ones we had. And I suppose it depends which version of the vintage ale you've got as to whether or not that would happen. But yeah, certainly the ones that we had that time when we did the horizontal-ish tasting were very brandy-like, I thought.
Yeah, all good.
Cool. Well, do you want to crack open first?
Sure. May as well. There we go. My trusty bottle opener. Of course, got my tulip style glass here for it.
Yeah, I'm sporting the same glass as you.
Last buddies away.
Last buddies.
dare say it's one of my better pours.
That's a cracking pour. Yeah, spot on.
Good. Now, I don't know if you can see anything, but I can't really tell because it's so dark if it's unfiltered or not. It doesn't really say. But it looks pretty clear to me. So we'll see what that's like.
Yeah. It's a nice black color.
They're very, very dark. Probably due to the chocolate malt they have for it.
Yeah.
Now on the sniff there,
yeah,
there is a bit of vanilla. There is also for those who didn't get that part, there's a reviewer reading earlier who the guy just couldn't stop talking about the vanilla in the aroma, and he just went on and basically paraphrasing as Marc did so well before. There's vanilla. I smell vanilla. It tastes like vanilla. Did I mention there's vanilla? I just can't do it. And literally the guy said I can't do it. So
I can't
do it. A bit of vanilla, but there's more to it.
Yeah.
There's a bit of spice you expect in there. There's maybe a hint of cinnamon, a bit of a sweet sort of maybe chocolatey or kind of like sweet cake-ish aroma.
Yeah.
Something like that. So overall, it's not unpleasant. Yeah. Christmassy.
Vanilla, cinnamon, all those sort of things.
Now on the flavor there, it actually ends on this quite nice chocolatey flavor that just kind of sits in your tongue. It's like a spiced chocolate. In the forefront though, it's got this sort of citrusy attack to it, and you can really taste the spice in the first go of it. It's shocks you with the spice, and that kind of warms you into the sweet sort of flavors, and ends up with this combination of a chocolate spice sort of thing, which I don't know if you ever had it from Starbucks, a chocolate spice biscotti a couple of years back, which it's very similar to this. I think this would go well with dessert, Christmas dessert, some sort of Christmas cake or a pie or some sort of thing like that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Mouthfeel, it's actually relatively thick feeling, which is a bit shocking for it being an ale, but it doesn't have the same quality as a barley wine for the coating effect. It's not quite that thick, but quite pleasant.
It looks more like a stout.
Yeah, it does look like it, but it's more like an ale in flavor, like a spiced ale, but it has the thickness of a stout.
Right. Okay.
It's a different combination than what I'm used to, but I actually like it. It's quite good.
Nice. Sounds nice. Yeah.
Well, now I've had my fill. Why don't you crack on with yours?
Oh dear. Whereabouts are Dead Frog based again? They're Surrey, aren't they?
I believe it's Abbotsford.
Abbotsford. Okay.
Yeah, just a bit further to the east there.
Really good. Dear. Right. So I suppose I should do a bit of a slight unboxing of this product because it comes in this rather attractive box, which is nice. It's got a lovely deep dark red color to it and a nice texture to it as well. Actually, really makes it feel like a.
Are they still numbered?
Yes, they are. Not on the box, but on the bottle. But yeah, I'll just pull this guy out of here. The bottle's changed slightly. This is Fuller's new design bottle. All of their beers have changed to this kind of design, like a slightly contemporary twist on their older bottle. Really quite attractive, really, with the kind of the deep dark colours and the gold finish and the gold lettering, almost like gold leaf, almost type stuff on there. But yeah, there you go. There's your number. There's your number. 8.5%. So yeah, strong enough that you can age it, obviously, as they suggest. So although they have to state the best before date of 2025, they did basically say that this will improve for many years to come. So I'm going to have this one fresh, as I said earlier, but I'm then going to store this one. I'm going to put it in our. We don't have a cellar as such, but we do have a larder cupboard that should stay fairly consistent in terms of temperature. So a brief thing on cellaring beers, I wouldn't say that I know everything about cellaring beer or that I'm an expert on cellaring beer, but generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, you want somewhere, obviously you want it completely dark. You don't want any light to get into your beer. You want to think like, would a vampire hang out here, so to speak, because light will just damage your beer, and over time you'll end up with a skunky mess. So it's handy that they come in these boxes, because that makes that a little bit easier as well with the light, just gives it that extra layer of protection. But somewhere around 55 degrees Fahrenheit, what's that in Celsius? 55 Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let's just do a quick Google search. That's around about 12 degrees C. So yeah, around about cellar temperature is the way you would keep a cask beer. If you were cellaring that beer, you want to keep it steadily. 5 degrees either way is fine. But yeah, you want to keep it somewhere that doesn't fluctuate too far to the extreme hot or cold over time. And if you keep it consistent in terms of that over a period of, say, 3 to 5 years, you should have really good results. You can go too far with aging a beer. It's nice to, I guess, pick a point and stop eventually and try and, in an ideal world, you would buy 3. You would get 1 to drink fresh, as we're going to do today. You would get another one to try maybe 6 months down the line. And then you'd have another one. If it's still tasting good 6 months down the line, you'd continue and you would, continue the experiment. So yeah, but anyway, we're going to drink this one fresh and find out what the character's like. In experiences past, I found them to be really nice beers, but nothing remarkable when they're fresh. The real joy, nice slight smoke coming out of the bottle there. Can you see that?
Yeah,
that's
nice.
Quite attractive. Yeah, it's got this kind of seal that goes over here, which is just adds to the whole finish of the product as well. Really well put together products, I think, the vintage ales. Anyway, I was trying to get that off. Sorry?
It's definitely a very enthusiast.
For the beer enthusiast, yeah. I mean, the whole cellaring thing is just a lot of fun, really. And it can be a bit hit and miss. You know, you can end up with... So I'm just trying to get this cap off here so it doesn't flap onto my... that's fine. Yeah, it can be a bit hit and miss. So you shouldn't fret too much about, making them like this sort of museum of products that you don't allow anyone to touch. They're there for drinking at the end of the day. So you shouldn't be too afraid to crack one open, because who knows, you could wait years and years and years. You could wait 5 years. And you could crack one open and it could be vinegar. So you may as well get a few, as I say, and don't be afraid to open them. So that if you can afford to stock up on a few of them, it's well worth doing so that you can kind of keep testing the water further down the line, because you may find that some just don't age well. But in my experience, these age particularly well. Not too bad a pour, quite a thick head there. Let's go for the aroma. You know what?
You flipped it over
all over the face.
Oh, jeez.
It's quite a light aroma. Element of sort of malty caramelness going on there. To be perfectly honest with you, I think I've got a little bit too much head to kind of get through with the aroma there. So I'm trying to get that to reduce a little bit. Yeah, it's considering I've basically got this probably at around about 12 degrees C, around sort of cellar temperature, maybe a tad warmer now. It's not too far off room temperature. I'm not getting an awful lot off the aroma, actually. It's fairly subtle. Maybe some floralness there. Some slight orange citrus elements in terms of the hops, perhaps. But it's pretty delicate, actually. And again, I don't know whether that's just the head, but that is dying down now. That's pretty normal.
No, I wonder if it's intentionally delicate, because as we've said many times before, the first thing to go is the hop aroma.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe they're trying to reduce that for the cellaring process.
Yeah, and this is all British ingredients, don't forget. And I think you've got a good point there. Perhaps they're with it being more malt driven, and because I've been enjoying quite a lot of very hoppy, particularly American hoppy beers of late, perhaps some of those more delicate, more earthy British hop aromas are slightly wasted on me at the moment, because but it's all British ingredients. So what hops do they use in this? Goldings, Challenger, and Northdown and Target hops. So those are all British hop varieties. But yeah, anyway, it's got some of that classic earthiness. You can definitely pick up on that. Some floralness element there as well. Some slight caramel. I don't want to say sweetness, because sweetness isn't really something you smell. But it's nice though. Just crack into the taste, because I'm slightly underwhelmed at the moment. That's more like it. There you go. There you go.
So what's it taste like? Come on.
It tastes very, I don't want to say similar to the other Fuller's vintage ales, but it definitely has that classic Fuller's base. And that's something that I guess you'd have to have tried several of Fuller's beers to know what their signature character is. You know how a brewery, particularly usually comes from the yeast strain. I think we've talked about it before. Yep. But that base character that kind of goes throughout, and they have this lovely fruity kind of, this lovely fruity character to their yeast and their base. Their base character of their beers, and this carries through. This is like imagine a London Pride, Fuller's London Pride, but beefed up quite a lot more. So you've got that lovely maltiness that you get from London Pride, but it's thicker, it's warmer, it's got more of that kind of orange Cointreau type element, but dialed down from what it was when we had that 3-year one, for example, where you've got that lovely brandy, slightly Cointreau orangey element to it as well. So yeah, I mean it's a reasonable body to it. You can tell it's a barley wine, but it's not a mega barley wine either. You know,
it's not like a Thor's Hammer barley wine.
No, and it's not mega hoppy at all. It's not as thick as say a Thor's Hammer. You know, it's not as thick as that. It's much lighter, but it's got a lovely malt character, and I would imagine that. You know, although there is some slight bitterness there from the hops, that edge would die down slightly over time, and you get much more of a mellow, warming character to it as it spent some time, in a dark room for a while. So, it's nice. I shall very much look forward to seeing how that changes over time, and I'll try to make a mental picture in my mind as to what that was like fresh. But yeah, I mean, it just tastes like a really good, solid British beer.
And what more can you ask for on a regular day?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't kick you, it doesn't smack you around the face like maybe some of its American cousins, but it's pretty well balanced, and it's a very, very pleasant drinking experience. And it's a very, very drinkable barley wine, actually. I mean, it's almost dangerously drinkable. You wouldn't know, really, unless you were told that this was 8.5%. One other thing I did miss that I forgot to mention is they do come with a little card or a little mini booklet. So it would explain what each year they put in the beer. So each ingredient. Yeah, so if going right back to 1997, right, because that's when they started. So Vintage Ale 1997, which I doubt there's any left anymore. If they are, they'll be expensive.
Horribly so.
Sorry?
Horribly so.
Yeah. I'd imagine they were probably past their best by now, but I don't know. Maybe if somebody watches this video further down the line on a replay, they can maybe tell us if they've tried a 1997. Maybe you can tell us we're wrong, but there you go. But yeah, it says the Fuller's Vintage Ale 1997 was brewed in May and bottled in July. This was the first of the portfolio of the vintage ales. Dark in appearance, the taste is almost brandy-like. There you go. With a bit of fruitiness in the aroma. Interesting. Anyway, pretty cool. I'll enjoy this and look forward to my aged one 3 years from now.
Now, anybody who's watching, that beer, the vintage ale, should be available anywhere in North America as well.
Yeah, it should be pretty easy.
I've been several times, and I believe I was in the States a few times. So.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where, but certainly in Canada you can get it fairly easily. So, yeah, pretty damn cool. How's yours sitting now that it's been exposed to the air for a little while?
Well, as you can see, it's about half gone already. It's actually quite smooth. I'm not usually a fan of winter beer because it usually ends up being really spicy or really sweet, which I don't like the consumes of that end of it. But this one's actually a nice combination of it. It's actually the first winter ale I've truly enjoyed.
Really?
I'm very happy with, yeah. And I didn't try their last year's version of it, so I'm not sure how it compares, but this is like I said, this new recipe for this year.
Yeah.
So they've made a major improvement, probably, I'd imagine. But for me, this is a huge step forward in terms of winter ales.
Sounds good. It sounds like there's a little bit more to it than just vanilla.
Yes, definitely. Though, maybe if you had some vanilla cakes of some sort, it might go well with it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest with you, with some of those spiced winter ales and particularly Christmas ales as well, actually, because similar to what you've just said there, I found a lot of them to be overpowering on the spices to the point where it was just a little bit too much. And actually, you have one of them and maybe you enjoy it, but you try and have a second one or a third one, and yeah, but by the time I get to the second and third one, I'm sort of, I'm done with cinnamon now.
Yeah, spice might be in there.
Yeah, or whatever else might be in there. So they are a bit of a mixed bag, and I think in moderation they're really nice. But it depends. I mean, you get some really nice balanced ones, as you say, and that sounds relatively balanced from what you've described. So
yeah, like I said, it's got a nice combination of the chocolate sweetness and the spiciness, and the hops. The hops actually give a nice fruity and herbal sort of aroma and flavor character to the beer, which kind of balances that whole sweetness and spice out of it. So I think it's quite a nice combination of different things. And I will say the one thing I really like about Dead Frog on their beer labels anyway, they actually tell you what's in the beer. So if you know about hops and malt and all that, you can get a decent idea of what's going to happen in the beer and if you might like it. Now, of course, proportions will have a big factor in that, but generally speaking, if you know that, like say if you know that the Centennial hops are generally citrusy and fruity and the like, or the Willamettes, they tend to be a little more on the spicy and floral side, then you can gauge that, and I think that's a really cool thing to have, especially for us that are considered beer nerds or beer enthusiasts, whatever you want to call yourself with that.
I think it's good for developing your palate as well, because if you're interested in that kind of thing, as you say, you can gauge it and you can say, if you're reading up on different hop varieties, you can then have a look at your beer and say, right, now I've read up and I know that Cascade hops have this lovely, citrusy grapefruit element to them. So can I pick that up in the beer? Knowing that that's in there, and if you know what the different flavors to expect, and I just think it makes it easier for you to pinpoint and get to know certain hop varieties. And as you, and I don't think enough brewers do it actually. I mean, this one does it in that it tells you it's got, the Maris Otter malt and then the North Down, Target, Challenger, and Goldings hops. But so many times I'm like, what hop varieties are in this? I'd like to know, because I'd like to know if what I think I'm picking up in flavour is right, because it just helps you build up. You never stop developing your palate and your appreciation for different ingredients in different beers, and I think that just only adds to the experience.
Now, I wonder if the reason why a lot of brewers don't do it is they're afraid of the recipes being stolen. Well,
maybe they don't want it to be easy to find out. I did wonder that myself actually. It's like, well, maybe they don't publish this information because they're not. I mean, it's pretty difficult to steal an entire recipe, but it's
you can be pretty close to what hops and malts and stuff are in there.
Yeah, you wouldn't know the quantities, of course, but you could. I don't know. Maybe there's I think there could be some truth in that. definitely.
Well, I mean, I think it's like a lot of industries. If they have a secret that's working for them, a lot of people don't want to share it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you notice that a lot more in terms of technology-based things. I mean, I think more people can relate to that.
Yeah.
You know, if you have some sort of proprietary system that's so good and everybody likes it, well, you can get top dollar for it. And I know there's one guy I know he's very much into security and armed force and that sort of stuff. Well, there's one piece of software you can get. It's $10,000 for the first install.
Yeah.
$7,000 every year after to renew it, because nobody else has that software or that technology to do it. But they won't tell you how it's done. It's done for you.
Yeah.
So I think there's some truth to that probably in the beer industry as well. They don't want to tell you how they arrived there with which ingredients, because you could eventually figure it out. Of course, the other thing is you'd have to be able to steal their yeast variety to get the actual flavor in there.
Yeah, I almost feel that there's too many variants. There's location, there's obviously the quantities, there's the brewing equipment itself. There's too many variables for somebody to actually totally copy. I mean, why is it that when a big brewer buys a smaller brewer and moves the production down the road, that it completely changes the beer? I mean, of course that's down to all those variables that could come into play there. You know, of course that's down to that. But yeah, anyway, as you say, moving back to this beer though, I'm getting much more of the aroma now that head's settled down and it's sort of been exposed in the glass to the air for a little bit longer. I'm getting much more of that aroma, which I didn't get before. We got Joker in the audience here. Yeah.
Calling us cute? I don't know. Mogly Mug doesn't pass for cute these days.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure we're that cute. Are we, Ponto?
You might be, especially with your accent.
I don't know. English accent, eh? It'll get you places sometimes, I guess.
In Canada, it will.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, getting much more of that aroma on that now. Yeah, much more of that maltiness comes through on the nose as well, and that kind of slight orange character to it. Very, very nice.
Good. You're gonna sell that. You're gonna drink it in 3 years' time, and hopefully it's not gonna taste like vinegar.
Hopefully not. Yeah, we'll reconvene in 3 years' time, and I hope that beer, this one, the unopened one, will be worth the wait. Hopefully. All right.
I think somebody might want to join us, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll unlock the seat then.
Yeah. It's unlocked. Come on in. No, maybe not.
No.
Oh well, that would have been fun.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome to join if you want to. Apart from that, I guess that this, pretty much concludes the on the record version of this episode. So yeah, if you're watching this retrospectively from our YouTube channel, we are Transatlantic Brews. So we run, because I'm in the tub. You're in the, okay, all right. Good. Anyway, yeah, we're Transatlantic Brews, so we run a beer website called transatlanticbrews.com. If you head over there, actually, if you're interested in getting into craft beers more and exploring the different varieties out there and taking a little adventure and improving your beer drinking experience, go to transatlanticbrews.com and you can download, during the December period, actually, you can go to our blog and you can download the 12 Beers of Christmas. That's 12 beers to enjoy over the festive season. Or you can download our staple introductory guide called the Beer Geek Toolkit, which has 5 different ways in which you can improve your beer drinking experience right out of the, I don't want to say out of the box, but it's not really coming out of the box. Right off the download. There you go. That'll do.
Right after fresh reading, how about that?
Yeah, you can also tweet us up over at TA Brews. I don't know. Should we add a hashtag to this show? Is that what people do? Is that what the kids do these days?
Yeah, you talk like you're an old man now.
Yeah. Dear. Hashtag TA Brews TV. Go on then. I've just created that.
You're a monster now. You don't have anything for you. The floodgates are now open.
Yeah, at TA Brews anyway. Yeah. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Catch you later.